Samsung faces fresh allegations of child labor at one of its China suppliers. Welcome to Asia Today. I'm Yoon-hee Kim. Joining us to discuss this story is Kevin Slayton, Program Coordinator at China Labor Watch. Kevin, thanks so much for taking time out. Now, technology companies have been under scrutiny about their labor practices. This isn't the first time that Samsung has been investigated. What has your recent report found?
What we discovered, other than child labor, was that these child workers were doing 11-hour shifts, night shifts. They weren't being paid according to law. They weren't even being paid the same wage as the adults, despite doing the same work as the adults. We also found that the adults weren't being paid correctly. There was unpaid overtime, no safety training despite working with chemicals, overtime hours of 120 hours a month. So doing 11-hour shifts for 6 or 7 days a week, and there were many more violations that we found.
How old are some of these workers, and is this just one facility at a supplier, or are there other factories within the region that you found have violated?
The child workers that we interviewed, our investigator interviewed, were 14 and 15. In China, a child worker is defined as not yet 16 years old. We also found many minors in the factory, so this is under 18. And we also think there were other child workers and minors in the factory. Many of these workers, or all of these workers, these young workers were coming into the factory as temporary workers, temp workers through middlemen. And that allowed them to sort of scoot past some of the rules, but it also means that they weren't being paid and given the right benefits. This factory is located in Dongguan, and we think that there are probably, if there's a factory like this in Samsung's supply chain, it could very well be that there are other factories like this. 2 years ago, we found many of these same violations in 12 other factories that were producing for Samsung. So it seems like 2 years have passed and Samsung has made a lot of promises, but not so much has changed according to our most recent report.
What recommendations have you made to Samsung, and has there been any response from the company?
Most recently, from this report, Samsung has responded publicly. They haven't responded to us directly, saying that they're going to follow up. But in the past, Samsung has said that they're going to make wide-range, deep improvements in their supply chain, including making overtime hours in their supply chain fit to regulations. So that would be no more than 36 hours of overtime a month. By the end of 2014, this is their goal. As we see in this factory, with 120 hours of overtime a month, it doesn't seem like this goal is on track right now, though there is a half year still left. Samsung also made other promises about no more child labor, safer factories, but we aren't seeing any of these promises really come to fruition at the ground level in the factories.
And Kevin, Samsung's getting a lot of scrutiny these days because obviously they are the world's biggest smartphone maker. But do you think these types of labor issues also impact some of the bigger technology companies based elsewhere?
Samsung is hardly the only brand company to have violations. What they really have to do to improve these labor conditions is be willing to invest more money in the supply chain. They're constantly trying to cut labor costs or cut manufacturing costs, and ultimately factories are cutting labor costs. The factories have to adapt to these demands, these time demands and these price demands of brand companies like Samsung.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin Slayton, joining us from China Labor Watch in New York. For more on this story, you can go to WSJ.com. I'm Yoon-hee Kim for the Wall Street Journal Digital Network. Thanks for watching.